Hello, class. This is Counselor John Pilateri, counselor at Mount San Antonio College. First of all, thanks, John, for joining us. Our lecture for this week involves career and life interests. Okay, but first of all, John, can you tell us a little bit about your personal history and how your life interests connected with you selecting the jobs that you've had in your past?
Okay, sure, and I'm happy to do this, so my pleasure. My development in terms of career and my choices came a lot from what I didn't want to do. When I was in high school, I found a lot of subjects that I wasn't interested in. I was bored. I wasn't the greatest student in high school, and I knew that I didn't want to do history or English or something like that. I didn't really connect with any of those subjects. My dad was a science teacher. And when I hit college, he said, when you're choosing a major, choose whatever you want, but you got to be science. I said, oh, science! I don't like science.
Right.
Picking up cats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so I found a degree called behavioral science. I said, Dad, behavioral science. He said, well, is that science? I said, behavioral science.
Cool.
So I got into that, and it was at Cal Poly Pomona, and while I was there, the major split into 3 degrees: psychology, sociology, and behavioral science. And I enjoyed my sociology classes more than I did my psychology classes, but I thought that I would be able to get a job better as a psychologist as opposed to a sociologist. So I kind of ended up dual majoring. And after that, I went to Cal State San Bernardino, where I was starting a master's in national security studies. And this was like think tank kind of stuff. You'd be a spook, a CIA guy, and I realized quickly that this was not the right field for me. My own personal values, I couldn't stand calculating kill ratios and multiple independent reentry vehicles and talking about people like they were soft targets. So it was just, I didn't like that program at all, and I decided I'm going to quit everything. I'm going to be a second grade school teacher. I'm going to ride my bike to school. I'm just going to forget about all this horrible stuff I've learned. But as a matter of fact, I found a school, University of La Verne, who let people in the middle of the year, so I didn't have to wait. And it was a master's in marriage and family therapy.
Oh, okay.
And
MFT.
An MFT degree, master's in MFT. So while I was there, I had these were my people. I was in the right place. I enjoyed talking and helping people.
Right.
And while I was there, I had a couple of professors who encouraged me to go on for my doctorate. And that because of my life circumstances, and I met my soon-to-be wife, and I had a condo because my dad had died and left me a condo. I wasn't going to move anywhere. So I applied to one place and got into school and was lucky enough to get my doctorate like that. Through the course, I had to pick up a second master's degree, which is one thing that contributes to my counseling, is to make sure people know where they're going so they don't do what I did. And although I don't regret having 2 masters and 2 bachelors, there's really no reason to have that. So if I knew what I was going to do, I could have saved time and money, but that's life. While I was going to school, especially as an 18-year-old, 16-year-old, I got into martial arts and started teaching karate. And one of the happiest days of my life was when I was 18 years old, and my instructor called me up and said, "Do you want to start teaching for the school?"
So you taught karate too?
I taught karate starting when I was about 17 years old.
Okay.
And I loved it. My dad was a teacher, my aunts were teachers, and I loved doing karate. I loved getting paid for teaching karate, and it was just amazing.
So you're black belt level?
Yeah.
Okay.
I ended up getting up to 5th degree black belt and opening my own school eventually. So that kind of got my interest going in teaching. And, teaching good karate is a lot like teaching anything, in that you're invested in it with the students, and you're trying to make them learn, and their performance has a lot to do with how well you taught. So through that, I kind of learned to partner with my students, and I enjoy the dynamics of the classroom, and those are skills that I carry with me now when I'm teaching.
Okay.
The idea of having a dynamic, interesting class and being partnered with the students. So those were some things that are a theme in my life, is teaching and learning and working with students. When I finished my doctorate, for different reasons, I opted to apply for a job at Mount San Antonio College. So I got I'm a counselor here, and I teach some psychology classes, and I also
so you also teach psych?
I teach psych and some counseling. And I've taught at the university level in psychology and online and on ground. And I have a small private practice in Claremont where I do psychological testing and see some clients for psychotherapy.
Okay, and so psychotherapy, can I interject for a while? So what types of issues do you see clients for in your private practice?
Well, mainly I do neuropsychological testing after part of working on the Master's in Marriage and Family Therapy, and then in essence starting over with the Master's in Clinical Psychology. I did a lot of now in my class you always donuts if you're
my bad.
I had enough of doing therapy for a while. I don't like carrying a beeper. I don't like being responsible for people in that way, or I got burned out of it. So I specialized and went to more school and specialized in neuropsychology. I did a 2-year program and postdoctorate in specialization in neuropsychology, which is testing and brain and behavior kind of stuff.
Okay.
So that's what I do. I do now, after having been out of therapy for many years, several years, I've come back to it, and I've taken a couple of clients, and I'll see people for couples issues or personal issues or whatever. Okay. I'm very selective, but the majority of my practice is doing testing for learning disabilities and people who've had strokes and that kind of thing.
So you're doing multiple things right now. You're doing a private practice, you're also a counselor here, and you also teach classes, and you're still teaching karate too, or no?
I have one private client that I see, and I coach soccer for my kids and play soccer.
And briefly, can you tell us a little bit about your comedy background before we go?
I've always enjoyed being in front of people and the energy that happens when you're with a group, and I've always been intrigued about stand-up comedy, and in fact a theme of mine is psychology and things that are important and relevant in the moment. So part of my training was I went to did an internship at LAPD where I was able to go to hostage negotiation school.
Oh wow, that's a lot of stuff.
What was so cool about that was it was like psychology that you use in the field, and either it works and the guy comes out, or it doesn't work and he shoots somebody or does himself. So it was very dynamic in my mind. And stand-up comedy is kind of the same way. You either kill or you be killed, you know. So I actually took a little class which just involved getting over your fear of going up on stage. And then after that, I entered a comedy contest, and I did really well in that, and I did a couple of stand-ups. So I'm certainly not what I would consider, a working comic right now. I'm just too busy. But I have been up there, and I have felt the rush of making a group of people laugh. And it's quite a high, very interesting. And again, it all comes back to what I do in the classroom and trying to be entertaining and keep people's attention and all of that.
So it just proves, guys, that you don't have just to do one thing. You can do multiple things, right, John? In your career.
Your careers, you can have nowadays. People are having 2 and 3 careers, and you can change over time. And
great.
I'm anticipating once my kids grow up, maybe going back to school and doing some other things.
Wow.
But that's down the line, and life is very long, no matter what people say.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had 4 lives by now, and try not to burn out on the things I'm doing, but I really enjoy all the different parts. And as you get farther and farther into your career, you can cut out the things you don't like to do so much and do more of the things you like to do.
Great.
So.
Hey, thank you so much, John. We
My
appreciate
pleasure.
your time, and hopefully maybe we can have you back.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.